This episode of Profiles in Risk is brought to you by InsurTech Connect Las Vegas. The legendary ITC is coming back to Vegas October 14 to 16 at the Mandalay Bay Casino. ITC is the largest InsurTech conference in the world by a long shot and the absolute cannot miss event of the year. We never miss it, neither should you. Register today using our discount code INSNerd200. Again, that's INSNerd200 and see you in Vegas, baby. And when you're there, look for me. I'm the guy with the red top hat and ask me for a magic trick. Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, pitching my second in a doubleheader today. This is the last thing before heading, I'm in Kansas City today, end of conference season, July 14th. So conference season this season got extended by 2 weeks into the last week of June by Rice Leadership Summit and by InsurTech Scout in Columbus, Ohio. And it got pushed a further week beyond 4th of July, making it the spring-summer season by the first annual IBA Future Fest in Santa Monica, California, which was a lot of fun. So from San Francisco, I flew to Kansas. My brother lives in Kansas. He's going to KU. So I'm here with him for the weekend. And I am going to see the fabulous Richard Lord magic show. Richard is my new bestie. We met at magic school a month ago. And this dude is crazy awesome. And I just signed up to be his marketing manager because he's very good at magic, but not very good at marketing. So I'm heading to see his show because he's on the road right now and things lined up perfectly. My brother came back from Asia just in time so that we could go here at KU. So yeah. And today I have with me Grace Hanson, co-founder and CEO at Elysian. Grace, first of all, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
It's going great. You're in one of my favorite cities, Kansas City. So my husband was from Kansas City and lived in Lawrence. So yeah, good
I
vibe.
am recording in Lawrence right now.
Oh, you're in Lawrence. Oh,
Yes,
fabulous.
because Andres goes to KU. So I am in his very nice apartment in Lawrence, which reminds me of how cheap the Midwest is, especially a college town and like 45 minutes out of Kansas City. This apartment is nicer and bigger than most apartments I've ever had, and incredibly cheap. So I am downright envious. College towns are awesome, especially in the Midwest.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Grace, I do have to say, so I don't know when we connected originally. According to LinkedIn, it was back in October of 23, so probably at ITC.
Yeah.
And then looks like I messaged you at some point when I saw you on InsurTech Wrap, March of this year, and that's when we started talking about having you on the podcast. But you have been one of the standout people from my spring conference season this year. I think I saw you like 3 or 4 times, and I distinctly remember we had a great conversation at the Insurance Capital Summit in New York. Yeah, it's been awesome to hang out in like 4 different cities in the last few months.
Yeah, well, I'm very impressed with your traveling legs. You seem to really get around too.
I can't. This was the toughest conference season I've ever had. I loved it, but it was long. It started on March 30th in Indianapolis for PIR, where I was the official magician and my girlfriend was the keynote. And from there until this last Friday, July 12th or 11th, I think 11th, I slept at home about 18 nights.
Wow.
Been nonstop. Now, part of that is insurance, part of that is magic. I did end up going to Vegas twice for magic school. Yeah, it's been an incredible season. But I am very tired.
I bet.
I can only do this because Delta Airlines is amazing, and I live in Atlanta for that. We have no kids. It'd be extremely hard if we had kids. And my girlfriend's love and patience. She also travels a lot. And she knows that she's welcome to join me on any trip that she wants to join me. So that makes it possible. But yes, it is. I am tired.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
So,
Yeah.
so Grace, according to LinkedIn, you are in Nashville, Tennessee. Are you recording from Nashville right now?
I am from
Perfect.
my home with my two
So,
dogs here, keeping me company.
so July 14th in Nashville, it has to be 95 degrees and 100% humid.
It's a little bit cooler today. It's 88 and not quite as humid, which is really
Okay.
that's real, important piece of
Okay.
information.
And how long have you lived in Nashville?
I moved here in 2022 when I left Hiscox to go work for Hippo.
Okay.
So
Okay. And how are you doing with country music? Because I personally hate country music. So Nashville's a lot of fun, but I hate country music. Uh,
oh, well, you probably don't like modern country music.
I don't
So
think I like any country music.
well, I'm a big country music fan.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
I'm an OG Swiftie, as they
Oh, I
say.
do like Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and so, but I've listened to all kind Clint Black, George Strait. I mean, I love country music and always have
Fantastic. So now that I know
great.
you're a Swiftie, I do sincerely hope that you get Elysian to the point where you have a big exit and you might be able to afford like going by yourself to a concert. Uh,
Well, little secret is for a little while I lived down the hall from Taylor Swift, here in
where,
Nashville. Yeah,
so did you get to meet her?
I did a couple of times, but once we were in the elevator together, not that that's all that impressive.
That is still pretty for Taylor Swift. That is pretty freaking impressive.
Yeah, she was just, I tell a lot of people this. I really admire her because I think she has a
Agreed.
vision and a clear sense of purpose. And I actually often look to her for inspiration as we've been building out our company. Because I say, look, when you're building something that hasn't been built really before in a different way, you have to follow your own intuition and your own kind of sense of what that looks like. You can't just do what everybody else does in a cookie cutter way and try and do it better. It just isn't going to work. So
That
I
is
think she can do it and I can do it. Yeah. So there we go. Oh my
absolutely
God.
fantastic. Uh, so I want to change my wish for you. I wish that Elysian grows to the point where you can have T Swift as a spokesperson because that would be amazing. Uh, fantastic. So Grace, we always give the guest the chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Elysian?
Yeah, well, Elysian is an outsourced service provider. They're called TPAs in our world. We handle claims end to end. We also do what we call dynamic quality review. But at its core, we're an AI native TPA. And for us, that means we're building the tech ground up and we're combining this deep tech with really highly experienced and calibrated adjusters. So, and our vision for the technology is very different, I think, from a lot of other players that are kind of entering the space. But we, Elysian is, I say, the child of the problems I had to solve for 25 years as a claims executive.
Fantastic, fantastic. Yeah, I think so. InsurTech 1.0, we ran into a lot of, hey, I have a cool tech hammer looking for an insurance nail because the fintech side got a little hard, right? The fintech's a little overcrowded, so I'm coming after insurance, but I have no idea how insurance works. InsurTech 2.0, we have a lot of people who identified a problem from working in the industry and then left to build technology to solve those problems. And I I I'm a big believer that InsurTech 2.0 will be a lot more successful than InsurTech 1.0. And
Yeah.
and TPAs. So people think of me as an InsurTech guy. I'm not. I'm an insurance guy. I have never worked a day of my life at an InsurTech. I've served them in many ways, especially as a recruiter, and I've interviewed hundreds of them on the podcast. We've had over 700 episodes. Um,
Wow.
Yes, episode 707 went live today. There's another like 20 or 30 waiting to go out. This one might end up being like 735 kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now Nick Lamparelli ran it for 150 episodes at the beginning. So I stand on the shoulders of giants. Carrie Ann Nadeau ran it for a few episodes. Like there's been a few hosts along the way. I have ran it for like 400 episodes at this point. So I'm definitely the one that has run it for the most episode, and I will run it until I die, basically. So I love doing this. So hopefully another 60 years. I'm 42. I figured 100, 203, I'll be happy.
Why not? Yeah, there you
How
go.
many episodes might we have in that long? Okay. So hopefully the last one is, holographic virtual reality, Tony. Okay. I'll be able to do crazy magic then.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of insurtechs that are founded by us, by insurance people. I love the fact that there's now an ecosystem to help with that. There's accelerators, etc. There's VCs that understand insurance better than years ago. There's carrier-owned VCs, etc. Nobody starts a TPA because it's sexy, because it is not, right? If insurance is not sexy, TPAs are even less sexy. So yes, a TPA, a tech-first TPA or AI-native TPA, only somebody who had to deal with TPAs before would think of starting that.
Yeah. I think there's still a vestige of what I call InsurTech 1.0. There's
Yeah.
definitely some tech people out there who think, oh, I can solve this problem.
Mhm.
And it'll be curious and interesting to see them as they evolve. But yeah, no, I mean, I managed claims for 25 years, all kinds of claims. I mean, I have a very unusual career. I've managed claims where the policy limits were 150 million and the total loss was in the billions. I've managed claims that were, 150, dollars. I've done homeowners, I've done commercial, I've done really everything. And
By the way, I think it's important to point out that you also have your JD. Now, interestingly, you don't list it next to your name. Are you no longer an active attorney, or like you're just too modest to list it next to your name?
I mean, I also have an MBA, which I don't list next to my name either. So no, I'm not licensed because I
Okay.
stopped practicing, but I graduated from Tulane Law School and I was admitted in Georgia and Louisiana, and I also got
You're
my MBA from Northeastern. So
you're also a CPCU and don't list. I just noticed that. And don't.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So Grace Hanson, JD, CPCU, MBA. I'm a little heartbroken that you don't list MBA, but I'm gonna assume that it's a cultural thing. You just like being modest. Uh, so yeah, a huge amount of insurance experience. Did you start in insurance all the way back to the days where you were an active attorney, when you were a partner at Coach and Rouse?
Cook and Mouse. No, no. Actually, I didn't really do much. I probably did about 25% insurance coverage.
Okay.
Yeah, I did commercial lit, like very large construction defect claims or intellectual property. In my first case I was asked to work on, which was really just a bunch of warehouses full of documents, was an antitrust case involving the Waterford 2, which was a nuclear power plant in Louisiana. But so it kind of gave me an appreciation for messy, complex things, which is basically what a claims department is, a big,
Good.
messy,
Uh,
complex
uh,
thing.
I saw that you did your bachelor's in Tulane. Are you from Louisiana?
No, no, I just landed, there because actually no real brilliant reason other than there was a Tutankhamun exhibit at the New Orleans Museum when I was in high school, and I thought, oh, that's super cool. I want to go to a university that's in a city which has the Tutankhamun exhibit, and that is literally
So,
not,
so
uh,
basically,
you
the,
know,
the, the
a
only
lie.
the only sillier reason to go to a particular school, and you end up go to a great school, but the only sillier reason is I followed a guy to a particular school, which plenty of people have done, right? Or I followed a girl to a particular school, and they never end up together, right? Anybody who did that did not end up married to that person. But this is the first.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of I was a sports fan of that university, right? Uh,
Yeah.
you're the
No,
first one.
no, it was exhibit. And then law school was even funnier. So I wanted to be a writer, and I had was convinced that finishing college and then just writing was the way to go. And my father was like, "No, you need a proper career." And so to please him, I applied to only one law school, and it was Tulane. And I applied the day after the deadline because I figured I wouldn't get in, so I wouldn't have to deal with it. And then I got in, so I had to actually go. And I don't know if you saw, but and I am going to brag because I'm really proud of it. I was just recently named to the Tulane Law School Hall of Fame.
Incredible. Congratulations.
It was actually a really, I was very proud of that. Actually, it was
No kidding.
very out of the blue, and after not even wanting to go to law school, it was a great way to kind of cap off that part of my life, right?
Grace, I'm very much assuming that the modesty it's a matter of personality slash culture. Uh, because if it's not, then like we need to get you working with Brett McKenzie to like properly feature all your accomplishments because you've got a crazy list of accomplishments and like I had to like dig into your LinkedIn to find them. Uh,
Yeah, well, but it's really what you do, right? And
yes.
especially like what I'm proud of in my career is what I've done. I've taken departments, I've built departments, I've transformed departments.
So
I've been, a thought leader. A genuine thought leader, not just somebody who gets up on a soapbox, but somebody who has ideas about where things are going and then goes and implements them. I've been an early adopter. Elysian is just the next kind of
so
stage
so
journey.
two law firms, and then you lead claims for AIG excess out of Bermuda, right?
Yeah.
That's the first like big uh, uh carrier side like claim side. Right? Were you physically in Bermuda for that job?
Yeah. Yeah. I was in Bermuda for almost 9 years.
Oh wow. Okay, so from AIG, you from the fire to what's the saying? From the fire pan to the fire, you go from AIG to Allied World, still in Bermuda.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
time as global chief claims officer.
That's
Uh,
right. I built that claims department out from scratch.
Perfect. And then you go to home site. Did you want to come back to the States? Is that why you went to home sites?
Yeah,
Okay.
basically.
I mean, it's a
Yeah.
solid company, but you already had an amazing job. So really, the only thing I can think of as a recruiter, if a company hires me to recruit you and you are the global chief claims officer in Bermuda for a major company like Allied World, I would have no idea what to sell you on, right? Like, so my only guess is that you wanted to come back to the mainland, basically, to the US.
Yeah, it's a hard job being a chief claims officer. I mean, it's a very stressful job. It and I actually took a role as a sole contributor at home site. It was kind of another funny story, which I can tell you another time because they tried to convince me to apply to be the head of claims. I was like, no, I've done that. I don't want to do that. I just want to be a lawyer. And it might have been the most relaxing job I ever had was when I first got there, but then I ended up being the head of claims for homes.
So they give you 3 years as an individual contributor to breathe, and then they're like promoted.
Basically, yeah.
Okay, perfect. You
So
go back to being chief of claims. Uh, and then this is really interesting. You launch an insurtech in 2018, so Siegel, but so I'd love to hear what the idea was with Siegel. But what I find really funny is a year later it gets acquired by Hiscox, and you end up back in the carrier world leading a claims department.
yeah,
Can't get away.
yeah. The startup, I had been looking at neural nets, which
Mhm.
is essentially kind of how AI has evolved, right? And I knew that it would materially impact how claims was handled because claims is full of unstructured data, right? And so I thought, let me try and bite off this apple. But I'm not a tech person. I can't code. And it was probably actually perfect that it didn't mature because with large language models, they can do, 100 times more than what I was trying to do. But it did give me the bug, if you want to call it, for starting up a
So,
company.
so the seagull to Hiscox transition was really an acquihire.
Essentially, they
Yeah.
bought it right after
Perfect.
I went there.
Perfect. Okay, so again, you end up running a claims department, this time in London. So this wasn't Hiscox US, this was Hiscox. Wow.
Global. Yeah, it was global.
All right. And then I'm guessing you want to come back to the US.
Yeah, well, COVID, right? COVID was really
Okay. So you go back and you run Hippo claims for a year and a half, and then you launch Elysian. Okay. So we've kind of
yeah.
done it backwards. We went through over your career first. So given this incredible background that you've had in the claims world, why build a tech first GPA or an AI first TPA?
Yeah, I mean, it really is experience. I've worked in 16 different claim systems. I've been a buyer of technology, and I just never felt that the approach and the way to tackle the problem was right. It wasn't really based on what adjusters really do and how they really think. And I just was like, I want to do this. I was super lucky. My son is a software engineer. He helped with the first iteration of kind of the vision. And then my own stubbornness kind of took over, which was like, okay, now I've decided, I have a co-founder, Daniel Mystery, who I've worked with in a couple of different companies. And it was like, no, we're going to do this and we're just going to do it. And, yeah, I'm unlikely, but, hey, what more likely person to do it?
If anybody, so every insurtech is unlikely to succeed, right? Every startup, my recruiting firm, 90% of our work is insurtechs. I understand every day when I get up that my best client right now will likely not exist in its current form 3 or 4 years from now, right?
Wow.
They either go out of business or they IPO and get big enough that they don't need us and they only use us for really difficult searches, or they get acquired and same story, right? They get acquired by whoever and
Yeah.
they have their own recruiting team, and like we only get used if they have a really weird need. So I'm constantly refilling that bucket because of that. So yes, any given insurtech has a low chance of survival, but given your background, this is it's not a small percentage shot given your background. So good for you for taking the shot. So it looks like you guys launched in 24. So you are approaching a year just in the next month. By the time this goes out, you've been live for a year basically, or it's been a company for a year.
Well, we got funding in late August of last year, and we actually technically went live in January of this year.
Perfect. Okay. So about halfway through, or just more than 2 quarters of being live, what is the current status? Like what can the system do today?
Yeah, well, we're live with our first few clients. We have our own claim system, which we ended up building from ground up, which was actually kind of unexpected. We were hoping to leverage some existing technology, and that just hasn't worked out, in part because of the other AI native tools that we were building. We have what we call the claim conductor, which is essentially an intelligent orchestration layer, and we have a body of knowledge called Atlas, which is our distillation of mental models that adjusters leverage in order to handle claims and the information they have to handle claims. And we have this product called Dynamic Claim Review. So this is actually one of the ones that a lot of people are really excited about. And it was a kind of a bit of an accident. I kept saying, well, if you want to provide really good claim service, you need to know what's going on in a file at all times, real-time QA. And I didn't mean like identify the few claims that are problematic. I mean, really get to the heart of claims adjusting. And so we built our core technology to do that. And we were showing it to a customer, and they're like, well, can you review our files for us? Because we have QA and we barely scratch the surface and it's all manual. And so we ended up building the capability to do that, and that's live, today. So we're really excited. We're, our objective is to provide exceptional, outstanding, quality claim service for commercial losses. And we think we have the technology to actually deliver on that.
And you're an actual TPA, right?
Yeah, we're an actual TPA. We can handle
you employ claims adjusters.
Yeah.
You might be the first TPA I've had on the podcast. Maybe.
Well, I don't know how, if, this is the illusion, right? The illusion is, wow, you can full straight through automate. I mean, I was at home site, we did homeowners, and homeowners is, high volume, low severity claims, and probably 15% of those claims, if that, could be fully automated end to end. And that's assuming the customer didn't get pissed off at you and it immediately defaulted to a human process. And were there parts of the journey that automation could help with? Of course, I mean, but at the end of the day, the thinking part fell to humans. And so we built to help the thinking part, knowing that that's the piece no one's solving for. So yeah, that's why you're talking to people who are automating little fragments of the process, or who have picked off kinds of claims which are more readily fully automated, right? And you do that when you don't know the substantive claims handling.
I noticed that you're specifically going after commercial lines, commercial claims. So
right, start.
Okay. Is that because TPAs do more commercial than personal lines claims, or is that I don't know the TPA world well enough.
Yeah. I think that there is a tendency to outsource commercial more than there is personal lines, but that isn't really why we did it. We did it because we felt we could deliver the most value for the customers in the commercial space, because those claims tend to be more complex and more varied than maybe a straight line auto or straight line homeowners. It was also a bit strategic. Personal lines claims involve an end consumer, and there's just a different relationship that you have with that end consumer. We wanted to wait until the AI was more reliable and trustworthy before going into that space.
Perfect.
But we can actually do the quality review on personal lines. That's the other interesting. It doesn't, for the quality review piece, the automated piece, doesn't matter what kind of claim it is. We can handle it.
Okay. So from the client's perspective, so a carrier or maybe even MGA hires you guys to be one of their TPAs. What is their experience like compared to the experience that you had when you hired TPAs before creating Elysian?
Yeah, well, almost immediately we can onboard the claims very, very quickly. And I don't mean just get them into our system. I mean, we will know within a couple of days which claims are problematic, what we need to do, what the status is, because the AI and the intelligent thinking of the claim conductor allows us to do that. All along the journey, we're going to be able to provide essentially real-time QA. So the insight that the customer gets into the claim file at all times is materially different. The level of data, our data is stored in an unstructured fashion. And so we can do analytics and provide kind of feedback to the underwriting side in a very timely, real-time, complex way. You're going to get all of the other things that people want, efficient customer experience, because things are semi-automated. We don't actually work on a traditional diary system. We work on a task that need to get done system.
Okay.
So, well, the traditional diary system says you get a file and you put a diary on it for 30 days out. And then you might overlay a task system on there if there is a task to be done. But what that ends up happening in most cases is that adjusters get emails into their inbox and they often don't do anything with them. And so you get a lot of complaints with TPAs where, notice of arbitration came in and no one knew, or, so with the way we've done it is the system alerts you immediately that there is something, whether it's a time sensitive demand, whether it's an arbitration notice, whether it's just facts that require you to revisit the claim. And it notifies you and it immediately starts to help the adjuster act on whatever needs to be acted on. So it creates a very different approach to claims handling. And we hope that it'll mean claims will get resolved more quickly, that we will understand the nuances of claims more quickly, and allow adjusters, to maybe pick up files that they don't know much about, but be able to manage them really efficiently. Because we see a lot of attrition, in our industry, and we hope that we don't have as much attrition as a traditional TPA. But if we did, we're protected against it. But because I saw attrition, not even attrition, I saw people go on a maternity leave or get sick or, want to take time off. All of those create problems, right? Because the claims have to be transferred. And, so our system is literally built to take those problems on and solve for it right from the beginning.
That's fantastic. That should result not only in a better result for the client, and as a TPA is weird because you have two clients. You have a client and a claimant,
Mhm.
and that should result in better experience for both. And I love this part. It should result in a better experience for the claims adjuster.
Yeah.
It's a huge piece of this. And I can't tell you how often I hear people say, I take as little time off as possible because when I get back, my desk is a mess.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that is triple true in claims.
Yeah. So think about a system where you're gone for 2 weeks. The system is going to do what it can in an automated way, but it's going to surface work that needs to get done to anybody in the team. And because of the way the system's been constructed, the people who are helping out will very quickly, immediately know all the context, the content, they'll have help, and it can just be, moved along. So you'll come back to essentially a pretty clean desk, with the exception of maybe some hard decisions that you might need to make. So we're excited about it. I mean, I really have lived the problems of my team, and I'm sure I've gotten blamed for some of the problems that my team had to deal with, because you don't often have choices about the technology they use, and you don't always get the funds to bring in, the cool, neat, shiny things. And, here it's kind of fun. It's like you get to design like how you want things to be, and pick tools. We don't build everything from ground up. A few things are levers from outside, and it's just fun doing it.
Fantastic, fantastic. I just noticed on the website, so services, full service claims administration, industry leading claims QA, real-time claims portfolio oversight. I don't believe you mentioned that, or I missed it. So yeah, tell me about the portfolio claims oversight function.
Yeah, well, it again just stems from having all of the data in an unstructured form, but available to analyze. And we're creating data. So if there is an optimal way to handle a particular type of claim, like say if a slip and fall in a Walmart, there might be things that you check for. You check for, cameras. You might check for the guidelines around cleaning up the floor. You're gonna interview employees. So whether or not that claim has been handled properly, we have that ingested in our, claims intelligence agent. So we can literally give the client, if they want to know, how many claims are waiting on information to investigate, and or they want to know, how many claims are being halted or are just sort of delayed in the coverage analysis portion. And actually, we had one customer who said they did a manual audit, and they found a lot of claims were just sitting there waiting for somebody to make a decision about coverage, and they didn't know which ones. And so we can actually we can ingest your whole portfolio, and we can give you all that because of our underlying claims intelligence. So that's super exciting. And we've had a couple of customers who want to take advantage of that opportunity. Again, claim specific. It's ground up. It's not top down analytics. It's ground up analytics.
Fantastic. Elite claims team. Adjusters average 15 years of industry experience with expertise in complex commercial claims. Invest in top talent, highest quality team in the industry. Purpose-built technology with an AI-first platform, unmatched transparency with real-time updates, detailed analytics, early warnings, through an intuitive dashboard, and high-caliber claims team. Specialized in complex claims. Handle all commercial P&C, but specialize in high complexity claims. This is very, very, very interesting. So since I've never had to hire a TPA and I never worked for a TPA. So given that, are most TPAs focused on really complex claims, or is there a wide variety? Is the fact that you guys are focused on the really complex claims, is that a differentiator, or is that just a normal part of TPA life?
Um, it is a bit of a differentiator. A lot of TPAs, focus on what I call, again, the high volume claims, like catastrophe response, or property insurance, or, traditional auto versus trucking, which is where, kind of a sweet spot for us. There are TPAs who specialize in just more litigated type claims as well. So I've used over 500 TPAs. It might surprise you to know there are thousands of TPAs
I
out
am surprised, yes.
there. Yeah. Some of them are kind of within the umbrella of the MGA that they might work with. Some of the carriers have TPAs, like Travelers has a TPA, Chubb has a TPA, which is interesting. Some of them are structured so that they have a TPA within their organization. But at the end of the day, we picked something that we know well. I mean, like I said, I've managed claims that have 150 million policy limits. I've been on every part of the tower. I've been in claims where there are multiple policies that potentially respond, and maybe 30 different parties that are potentially exposed. So we wanted to bring that level of experience because we think those are areas where the business is suffering. If you look, the results in the GL portfolio are, general liability portfolio are deteriorating, right? And in large part, that's because it's hard to get really good claims adjusters, but it's also really hard with the technology they have to know what's going on in the claims, right? To get any kind of portfolio or even individual claim analysis. We say that, our initial team is really the highest caliber adjusters, but eventually we'll be able to take on almost any adjuster and elevate them to be the highest quality adjuster because we're building the technology to help them, to train them, to give them the support, to give them the insight. It's a vision about bringing things up to the next level, and that is part of the meaning of Elysian, of course, is next level, kind of going to the heavens, right? And it's very optimistic, but we like to think that's where we're headed.
Fantastic, fantastic. So you're about a year into it. It sounds like you've already built a great, great, great start. Uh, what what do you foresee? Let's call it another year down the road. Where do you think Elysian will be?
Yeah, I think we'll be seriously a serious competition to some of the existing TPA players. But I also would like to think that we're building some very interesting technology. We haven't quite decided where to go with that technology, and that technology could help the industry. So I want to help the industry. This is not, I'm at a stage in my career where I'm not looking for the big, huge exit, or, I want to build a successful company. I know my investors want us to build a very, very successful company, and I respect that. But at the end of the day, I want to change something and transform something. And I think I'm going to, hope and work very, very hard that in a year we will already have materially demonstrated that we can do that we're on a path to doing that.
Love it. You're aiming for legacy.
I'm aiming for legacy, and I don't
Absolutely.
know what legacy looks like, having never built a company before, but I had never gone out to raise money before, and I've now learned how to do that. So
Yes, racing is one of the hardest parts of the game we play. And
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
We
think I
just
told you,
closed our second round actually
congratulations.
last week. So
Uh, yeah, I think I told you when we chatted in New York that my favorite part about my life and my businesses is that I don't have to race. I work with plenty of startups, and usually, often, like maybe we start the conversation by them coming on the podcast fairly early on, and then usually they either bring us on to recruit when they raise, or they really increase how much they use us after they raise. So I'm very happy for them when they raise, and it creates more business for
Yeah.
us. But
Yeah.
I'm so happy I don't have to raise, because it is the hardest thing you guys do. Um,
Very, very, very hard. Hard on your ego, hard on your time because you're building a business and you end up just spending so much time, unless you're just super lucky and
my advice to like very early stage insurtechs is, hey, what I'm seeing as a recruiter, what I'm seeing as a recruiter is that my clients that have successfully raised, and especially let's call it a couple years ago, so 2019, 2020, like 2019, like I had kids that had like a lunch with me, picked my brain about insurance, raised $1 million on the back of a napkin kind of thing, right? Those times went away when interest rates increased, right?
yeah.
So 2022, 2023 or so, it got very, very hard to raise. And then it seems to be getting a little bit better. But during those couple of years, let's call it 23 and 24, um, my advice to founders was, hey, what I'm seeing, the one thing in common that the companies that I work with that have successfully raised uh, I'm seeing is the CEO is focused 100% of their time on raising money, and the COO is running the company. So you need to have one of you. So you need to have a great CTO. You need to have, and in the operational side, you need to have somebody who is really good at racing and somebody who's really good at running the company. And it's very hard for those two things to be the same person, just as a matter of time.
Yeah.
But it's getting a little bit better.
Yeah.
But,
Well, my
but
CTO, I'm really proud of our CTO. He came from Meta's AI Info Group, really experienced. So he focused on the tech. And I have another co-founder who's an operations guy. And so he kind of handled all of the kind of back office operational stuff. And I did most of the raising, but we ended up doing it together.
plastic.
A lot, which was a strategy, and it did actually work. It was a bit of a strategy just because candidly, female founders don't usually
I
get
I thought about
and
bringing it up. Uh, and and
yeah,
uh, and we're almost out of time. But yes,
yeah. Although I met with some female VCs and I think what ends up happening is they have a paradigm of what success looks like. And that paradigm really doesn't matter whether it's a male or a female VC. They unconsciously look for signals of success. And those signals of success women tend not to exude those signals of success. And I mean, on a very simple level, like, I'm a fairly deliberate speaker, for instance. Yeah, am I pretty high energy? If you work with me, you know that, but I'm not like, type A, super. And actually, when I'm pressed, I tend to get even more conservative and more reserved. And that doesn't, you got to get an investor who sees that and understands, well, this is the way this person is, right? Versus, oh, she can't do it. I had somebody actually tell me, well, Grace, if you can't stay up till 4 a.m, you're not going to have a successful company. And I was like, well, I wake up at 5, so that's going to create a really difficult life for me if I have to stay out till 4. And I thought, well, but the reality is I do always work because I'm always thinking about the job and how to structure things and strategizing. And but again, if your stereotype is I want to hire someone who's going to stay up till 4 a.m, even though they're then sleeping until, noon before they get up, I mean, you're not going to think very much of a woman who goes to bed at a reasonable hour and,
yeah,
gets up.
yeah,
Right.
that's a great example. I uh, there's a woman in our space, and she hasn't said this publicly. She told me this kind of in a private group. And she's been running her insurtech for several years. So this conversation that she was telling me about happened several years ago. So hopefully things are better today. But basically, she was told by a VC, yeah, we want to invest in you, and you should hire a male CEO, before we invest in you. Literally out loud told her. And of course, she wanted to, rip his head off, right? Uh,
Yeah.
I've heard her tell a story a couple of times, but always in private settings. So I won't out her here. But yeah, that just it's just not good for anybody, right? That's not good for the ecosystem. It's not good for the results we produce. It makes your job so much harder, and I hope things are getting better. It does seem like things are getting better, but holy crap.
Yeah, I think they're getting better. And I think that's part of why you need to get out there. I mean, I was one of the first um, female chief claims officers of a global company. That's just reality.
He claims that that's not
And claims.
shocking.
And back in the day, there were very few female executives and very
And
few
we're
chief
not
claims
talking,
officers.
yeah, and your own history. We're not talking back in the 70s, right?
No, this
We're
is
talking like
90s and aughts and
yeah, it's
uh,
crazy,
yeah,
crazy
but now I go to conferences and I look on LinkedIn and there's a lot of chief claims officers who are
good.
women. So,
Good.
so
Good.
somebody's got to do it. So I
We are
think,
making
and
progress.
maybe in an odd way, somebody like me who clearly is not experienced at it, and I'm not, I'm not the aggressive sort of type A stereotype, and I'm more, thoughtful and reserved about how I do things. And, my success, I hope, will lead people who are more like me and women who are more like me to think, oh, I can do that. And wait, it's a compliment. If Grace can do it, I can do it. Because she's not that much smarter, she's not any smarter than I am.
I love that. Absolutely love that. Grace, it's been a real pleasure. Cannot believe how much you guys have accomplished in such little time since you officially launched the company. Uh, Love seeing you guys and you yourself out on the road. Yeah, look forward to have you back in a year or two. You're welcome to come back on the show whenever there are big things to share.
Oh,
Uh,
I would love that. And I would love to see you out on the road when it's season starts. I didn't realize there was a season. So thank
oh
you
yeah,
for.
yeah, yeah. The season used to go from middle of April to middle of June. It has since extended. I used to call it the spring conference season. It is now the spring/summer, and then in the fall it starts kind of like late August,
Uh,
and it does go a little bit into November, especially if sometimes ITC touches November, sometimes it doesn't. My own world, CPCU, into risk after getting hit by 2 or 3 different hurricanes in 10 years,
yeah,
uh, ended up moving it to November to be out of hurricane season.
yeah.
So yeah, the season in the fall goes kind of like mid to late August to like beginning of November, uh, and then I get the winter off until about April. Although
Okay.
there's a few regional like for example, this year my very first one was late January in Florida because Nick Lamparelli, who owns 2/3 of Insurance Nerds, runs a nonprofit in Florida for insurance. It's the Florida Insurance Advocacy, and so
Okay.
so because Florida's warm, they have a late January conference, but it's been really like off season compared to everything else. So
Oh, great. Well, I'll be at ITC, so you'll definitely see us. We're going to have a
definitely see you
kiosk.
at
So
ITC.
look for us, and we'll have a couple people there, and
Fantastic. Thank you so much
catch
for your
up.
time today. Yes, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you.